Welcome to the pod, where we're going to talk about
our thoughts, stories, and opinions, but do it all respectfully, of course. So today's episode is one that I'm so excited about. We have asked our friends to send us their most embarrassing stories or a confession, and we're going to read them off for you.
Which took a lot of convincing.
It did take a lot of convincing. We promised.
I promised.
There will be no names given out.
Yeah, so while their identity will remain hidden, ours will not. And, of course, just going to go ahead and out ourselves.
Yeah, so we have both been thinking of a story that we could share,
Yes.
And we've selected them.
Yes. Are you starting or me?
I can go for it.
Okay, go for it. I love yours.
So last year I was having a rough day, a rough week, we could say. And one of my friends was like, "Why don't you just come over, hang out at my house, whatever." So I'm driving over there, and she lives in a smaller town, like right outside our city. So if you know anything about small towns, the law enforcement is even more strict, because they don't. Yeah, anyway, so I'm driving, the music is on, the emotions are high, and it's an overwhelming moment, and the tears just start flowing. And I was not wearing waterproof mascara, so of course it's smearing.
It was like literally like movie scene, cry scene from like the mascara running. It was quite the drama.
It was. My face is turning red, my eyes are getting puffy, and I'm making the turn. I am less than 2 minutes away from her house when I notice that in my mirror I see the flashing lights, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, this is not the time. This is not. So I pull over, he comes to the window, and I'm like, I look like a mess. This is a low moment.
Yeah.
These are two lows stacked right on top of each other. And he comes to the window and he was like, "So I pulled you over back there because you crossed the white line a little bit." And I'm just there, I'm like, okay. And he's like, was there a reason for that? And I said, I didn't say it, but I'm thinking, "Sir, do you see the condition of my face?" And so I went, "Well, it's just been a bit of a rough morning, and I guess I'm just a little distracted." And he's like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Well, I'm gonna need your license, your registration, all that." So I begin, grabbing it all out. But while I'm doing it, he's like, "So, rough morning, huh? What's going on?" And in that moment, I don't know what I was to say, but I started word vomiting to the cop, and I didn't say much, but what I did manage to blurt out was, "Boy problems, I guess." I said that to a cop. I said it to a cop, and instant regret. I was like,
yeah, I wonder how he felt.
And he just was like, you could tell he would like, he didn't know. He was just like, oh, and so I handed my stuff, and he's like looking at it, and you could just see he's like, he wants to say something, but he has now been flustered because I'm like shaking and like and he goes, this isn't your ID. You handed me your debit card." I'm like, oh my gosh, he probably thinks that I'm on something. Like I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And so then I'm like fumbling around, like trying to get him my ID. So I give that to him, and he's like, "All right, before I have to ask, do you have any weapons in your car?" So look at me. "No, I do not have weapons."
I am dying to know who would honestly answer that question.
I know.
Like, if you did, to just be like, "Well, yeah, I've got a couple guns in the back, and I've got my sword in the other back seat." Like, who's gonna say yes to that?
But I honestly answered that no, I do not have any. So he goes back, he's gone forever. I'm trying to pull myself back together,
Also,
wipe away.
I'm sure there's a big process, but why do they take like 20
so
minutes?
Long.
It literally is like an eternity when they go back to do all the like paperwork and stuff. I'm like, aren't you just like putting some information in and coming back? Like,
yeah. And so he comes back, he gives me my stuff, and he's like, "Well, I'm just gonna give you a warning today." And I'm like, "Amazing, like, thank you." And he's like, "All right, well, you drive safe and stay in those lines."
Yeah, and he really had to add that part.
He did.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got to my friend's house, and I'm like, "You're never gonna believe like what was just added on to my day."
Yeah.
But looking back now, amazing story. So
funny story.
Can't complain.
Yeah, we live for the stories.
We do.
On to my story, which totally separate track. My story starts in the bathroom. So reason, I just feel like I have the worst luck. Like, going into a bathroom with no toilet paper, but I'm one of those people that when I have to go, it's typically urgent. Because it's not a chill approach. It's like, I have to go. So I don't really have time to check for toilet paper, although I always intend to.
It's just like you get so focused on what needs to be done that like...
I gotta go. So anyway, on this occasion, I happened to have to go 1, 2, and 3, if you know what I mean. And it was not pretty. As I'm going to finish up, to clean up, I notice, there's no toilet paper at all.
That is such a violating feeling in and of itself.
It really is, because it shouldn't be embarrassing. It should be okay to ask, but there's something about, like, asking someone else. But in that case, I had no other option. There was someone in the stall beside me. And I just had to work up the courage, and it took me a minute, just go, "Hi, sorry, excuse me, would you mind passing me some toilet paper? Like, there's none in my stall." Kindly, she passes me a little toilet paper. Keyword a little.
And you just know in that moment, you just know.
She hit it, and I just paused. I was like, okay, I'll try and work with it. Tell you what, it did not work, and I was like, we have a ways to go. So I had to work up the courage to ask her a second time and say, "Hey, this is so embarrassing. Would you pass me just like a lot more?"
Like, that's not gonna cut it.
Because I debated. I was like, do I wait for her to leave and wait for someone else to come?
Yeah.
But I had no idea how long I'd be waiting.
I know,
like, maybe nobody comes.
Choice.
So I'm like, I can't risk that. So I just had to do it, and I just had to say, "Hey, would you pass me a good amount more?" So then she gave me like a hefty wadded up ball of toilet paper, and I'm like, that'll do. Thank you so much. And then I definitely made sure to wait until she was fully gone for a while before I exited, and I think about that often. Yeah.
And rightfully so. I will say though, however, at least in your situation, like, while it was so embarrassing in the moment, at least it was one of those things you could just wait it out, and you know, you never have to actually see her face again. Like, she will never know who you were, and you can go to sleep at night with that thought.
I know, and that's fair.
But it is embarrassing, and that's a really vulnerable moment.
But you know what? You have to do it. You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
And I think we've all been in that position where you just have to ask. And you are just sitting there hoping that they're like, they're generous enough to give you.
So can I just say, like, as a PSA, like, if someone asks you for toilet paper,
provide.
Be generous. Be generous and give wholeheartedly, because you never want to put them in that position.
And it's better that they have some leftover and they just leave it there for the next poor person who's going to stumble in and go, there's no, but wait, there's a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I can't even tell you how many times I've run into the situation where I have no toilet paper to go.
This has happened to you a lot.
I have started, like, in the summertime, I'll carry like my crossbody bag or fanny pack. I'll like always have napkins or tissues or something just in case. Yeah. But then it's always like when I need it. The other worst thing is, like, half the time when it does happens to be the time that I like left my phone somewhere else or didn't bring my phone and I can't even like call for help. So it's certainly a growing experience.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
Love that. All right, so we are gonna jump in to now our friends' stories, and they've been sending it to us kind of over the course of the past week. And so the patience that has had to be had. That was a weird sentence.
The patience that we have had to have had.
That we've had to have to not read these until this moment.
Because we wanted to just read it live, but also it's like they send it in, I instantly want to read it. Like, I just want to know.
I know, but we waited so that we could have the most solid reaction.
Yes.
So we're going to kick it off with our first story.
We're really trusting that these are good.
We do hope these are good. No offense to our friends if they're not, but we are hoping. All right. This one, they titled...
that's a long one.
It is. They titled this one, The Unfortunate Email. During my freshman and sophomore years of college, I was part of my school's pep band. And during my sophomore year, I served in a leadership position as one of the 2 student conductors within the band. That particular year, our basketball team had a great season and was headed to the Division II NCAA tournament. I don't know what that is, but it sounds very official. Like, very big deal.
I know NCAA, I think it's the same thing as NCAA. Is like a big, like...
Sorry.
I don't know.
But that sounds exciting. And the pep band was scheduled to go along with the with them to cheer them on. This trip involved a couple nights in a hotel, as the games would have been played somewhere in Kentucky. So a week or so before the trip, our band director sent out a mass email to all the band members and people who would be going on the trip, asking for our requests for who we wanted to room with, as well as the people we preferred not to room with.
Side note, what a stressful job being the person who has to put together the rooms.
I know. That would be tricky.
Yeah.
Oh, this is hard to not lose my spot. At the time the email was sent, it happened to be the week of spring break, and I was with some friends on a train heading into Chicago, where we would spend a few days. I saw the email come in from my director and responded, listing a few of my friends in the band for people I wanted to room with. But I also included a couple of other guys that I really didn't want to room with. I'm scared of where this is going. I'm scared of where this is going.
I have a guess.
What's your guess?
That he responded to the overall group, not just the professor.
Oh,
continue the story.
Oh no. Okay, wait, where is this? Okay. Thankfully, I didn't. Oh, sorry. Okay, but I also, it's hard. There's so many words. I'm trying to find my spot. I also included a couple of guys that I didn't really want to room with for various reasons that I thankfully did not see in the email. I finished the email, hit send, and continued to enjoy the train ride I was on. About 15 minutes or so later, I got a text. One of my friends in the band that simply said, "RIP." He's done for. Oh no. As this was
such a good response.
As this was a rather confusing text to receive out of the blue, I asked what he meant, and he replied saying something about an email. That email, I had hit reply all.
I knew it.
Oh my gosh. This is secondhand embarrassing.
Wait. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Because think about how many people were in that band.
There were probably so many. Everybody just,
Mm-hmm.
those guys are just like, oh, nice to know. Nice to know. Well, that's okay. So, oh yes, he stated how many people. So, I had hit reply all and sent my room request response to the entire band, over 50 people, in which I had listed by name 2 guys that I, under no circumstance, I under no circumstance wanted to room with, one of which was the other student conductor. You know the audio? But it got worse there.
That is
It's
horrifying.
not even just like maybe a couple of random people that like maybe you're gonna have to like interact.
Because here's the worst part is like they still
together.
are in like a week are gonna have to go and
he's like a leader of the band. Oh, it's not like
that's so good.
Okay. Unfortunately. Oh no! Unfortunately, that was not the end of my stupidity. The moment I realized my mistake, I sent another email to my band director that included some explicit language and question of whether or not it was possible to delete the entire email conversation. To my dismay, that was not possible. Because I clearly had not learned from my previous mistake, that email was also sent to the entire band after I hit reply.
Oh my God.
We'll be cutting that out. She just exposed the name. I can't breathe.
I'm so sorry. I like can't handle.
Okay.
To regroup.
Thus began one of the worst panic attacks of my life, during which I called the guy who had served as my mentor the year before in the band, who thought the whole thing was hilarious. Later on that day, I did privately send a lengthy apology messages to the 2 guys that I had called out, and they were gracious enough to accept them. The week happened to be the week COVID blew it up in the US, and we never actually went on the trip. Normally this would have been a disappointment, but in this case, I was rather glad. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's all I can say.
So COVID was a blessing in disguise for some people.
For some people, it
And
was.
I'm really happy.
Yeah. That was. Thanks for sharing that one. You know who you are.
No, that was
you know
a
who you
shocker.
are. That was a great story.
See, we are 2 people who get very bad secondhand embarrassment, so that got me. Also, well spoken.
very well written.
Well written.
And I hope that it like came across. I know I was kind of like, I lost my place a few times and was laughing, but I do hope that you were able to enjoy the writing ability.
That's crazy.
there.
I feel like thus far that's top for sure.
Oh, for sure. That was, I mean, I know, yeah.
I don't want to rank them all, but I tell you what, that's top.
That's a really good story.
All right.
Story number 2.
Yes, on to our next one. It's titled The Bidet with Many Buttons.
Oh.
A novel.
That's a nice addition to the title. I really like that.
A few years ago, I was on a trip for a band tour in Branson, Missouri.
We've got a lot of band friends here.
On our way home, we made a little stop at like 1 a.m. to a fancy gas station. I was very delirious at this hour, and when I went into the bathroom, I had no idea what was going on because the toilets were so fancy, and they felt like, and they had a whole bunch of buttons on it. It felt like I was in the middle of a spaceship looking at controls around me.
Oh, wow. First of all, that's so interesting that a gas station would have such a high tech.
But like in Missouri, like a gas station in Missouri.
That's so random. But that was a very good way to give a vision.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm like kind of curious what maybe we road trip to this cool gas station. Anyway, it felt like he was in a spaceship.
Wow.
So as I was sitting there, I was trying to locate the flash. Oh my gosh. The flush button, but instead.
Oh no.
But instead my butt was hit by a stream of water that seemed to hit my nervous system because my body ceased in shock.
Wait, what a jump scare. Yeah. That, especially
It was 1 in the morning. You were probably sleeping, get woken up for a bathroom break. Tell you what, you're awake.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That'll do it. Oh,
right. Yeah, that will shock the nervous system.
I was just like that very much.
As you can imagine, this wasn't the outcome I imagined going to the bathroom, and I literally yelped in the middle of the men's bathroom upon impact. A few minutes later, when I was back on the bus, a friend sitting across from me asked if that was me who yelled in the bathroom, and I lied and said it wasn't me.
Just did not own it at all. Wait, you have to think about the other people who heard this going on. What an interesting thing to overhear.
Oh my goodness. And I tried to fall asleep on the bus, but alas, the shock kept me awake for a bit. Like a bruise, the feeling of being sprayed by that water lasted for days.
Like, you're just like afraid to go to the bathroom after that because you're like, what if?
Oh my gosh, you're like, I know it looks like a normal flush, but
like,
what
PTSD about it?
Yeah, I've never personally used a bidet, but I don't know that I ever want to.
No, he sent us an image of it, so we'll try to insert this so you all can see.
Oh my gosh, wait, that's so confusing.
Wait, in Japanese. Wait a second.
This is in Missouri?
This is in Missouri? But did he hit that button? Because I feel like that clearly states what's about to happen.
Okay, but he was also probably
tired
at 1 in the morning.
But to be fair, I don't know which of these I would choose as the flush. I don't.
What is this control though? It's fully in another language. It looks like a maze. And it's just a gas station in Missouri?
Yeah. I mean, to his credit, I don't know what
That's
I would
insane.
choose at all. So, I mean, you had to pick one.
Yeah, that's honestly like the moment you sit down, you're taking the L. Yeah. You know?
But yeah, anyway, again, very well written.
Very well written.
Very well written. That gave such a clear picture of what was going on.
We heard what we needed to get the full view. So
yeah. I personally have never used a bidet. Yeah. I did stay somewhere where it did have the bidet option, but it also was very clear about what was just the flush.
Okay.
And that is an experience I personally never want to have. So I stayed far away from it. I did not touch any of the buttons.
Like,
yeah, no.
I have no desire to ever.
It just does not seem like a good. I don't like the thought of that.
We're both really so okay with our regular old toilets.
Yes. All right. So for the next one, it reads: I'm not sure how old I was, but I was young enough to have no understanding of alcohol. Oh, you already know that it's going down a dark path when you hear that. I was at my cousin's graduation party and had found a fancy lemonade called vodka lemonade, which had a strange aftertaste, but I thought nothing of it. After a few glasses.
Wait, okay. Just from adults who have drank alcohol, it doesn't taste good. And I don't imagine that if you've never had it before, that you'd be like, wow, this lemonade is really good, and just keep downing them.
There was something about it.
Multiple glasses.
So after a few glasses of it with my younger cousin.
Oh, no. I'm curious the ages.
Yeah, would love to know. We inquired what was in the vodka lemonade to find that we were indeed drinking alcohol as children. We were probably a bit tipsy.
Probably.
Yep. Wow.
I was gonna ask how their systems handled it.
Yes, I actually saw an article yesterday, and it was about how a restaurant like mixed up a drink order, and instead of giving a kid like a virgin daiquiri, they gave him an alcoholic one.
Oh, no.
And he was 12 and like was drinking it. And the family, like, apparently didn't drink, and they were like, well, I don't really know. So they had to, like, call the server over and be like, does this have alcohol in it? And they were like, oh. And then apparently, like, his heart rate started, like, so they took him to the hospital, and he was okay, but he had what they said was his first hangover the next day.
Oh, no.
So anyway, it doesn't sound like, this one ended in a hospital stay, which is great. But, yeah, that's quite the story.
But I'm shocked by the few because, like, as a kid, if I were to ever, like, taste this, I'd be like, oh, that's gross.
Yeah.
And I'd be done so fast. But it must have just had a lot of sugar and a lot of sweet to it. Yeah. That it was just, like...
Those lemons were really taken over.
They're like, guys, you need to try this funky lemonade.
And I love how it's like they inquired, like they didn't just immediately be like, oh, what's this? Like,
I've never
they
heard
waited
of that
until
before.
after to be like, so what's the vodka part of it? Anyway, lovely story.
That was good.
Lovely story. All right, let's just go straight to the next one.
Sure. All right, this one's titled "Embarrassing Story," so it's gonna be good just from the title.
You know it's gonna be good.
A few years ago, I was updating my room and was getting rid of my twin-sized bed. I got the bigger bed. I got the bigger bed we have in the spare bedroom at home. It was not until I had been sleeping on the bed for quite a while that I was made aware that it used to be my parents' bed. I was informed that I had been conceived in the very bed that I now sleep in. What a sweet full circle moment.
What a full circle. That's
that's a time where like ignorance really is bliss.
Yeah, and that's something like you don't
really rather not know. And I wonder if that was a question asked, or if that was just given freely. Like if her parents were just like, "Hey, fun fact, by the way, just in case you were wondering."
And if they did,
you were made on that bed.
Oh, and if they did that is so wrong of them in so many ways. And so I really hope that was not the case.
I don't know, but man, I feel like just knowing that, going to bed every night feels a little different.
How do you sleep in peace?
But also, beds are expensive, I probably wouldn't buy a new bed. I'd just live with, unfortunately live with that knowledge.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, well.
Yep. The next one is also pretty straight to the point. It says, my friend's boyfriend once walked in on me while I was going to the bathroom because he didn't realize that I was the one in there. And that's so unfortunate. Yeah, that really is. That's a big fear. As someone...
Yeah, no, being walked in on in the bathroom is actively one of my biggest fears. And, like, every single time I go to the bathroom, I'm, like, ready for someone to start pushing on the door. The worst is, like, when you have, like, bathroom stalls, or, like, even worse is when it's, like, the big one stall, like, one bathroom.
Those are terrifying.
You're so far away from the door.
You really are.
Sometimes, if someone were to open the door because, say, the lock didn't work, they'd open it right to you.
Yeah, and why don't they specifically just plan to put the toilets to the right of the door? That way, if somebody would open it, like...
that would be hidden behind the door. Two, you can shut it while they're trying to get, like...
Yeah.
Feel safer. Also, I feel like bathroom stalls should automatically fall open and then they stay shut when someone's in them.
That would be so smart.
The bathroom where I work at the employee bathroom, has 3 stalls, and the middle one is the only one that falls open, so I use that one every single time.
Different.
So strange. But it's like, I feel so much like more at peace when I see that one open, and I'm like, because the second I have to push on someone's stall and then they're in there, how awkward. But I don't want to be the person that's like looking under for shoes, because that just looks
and
creepy.
at that moment, like, I don't know what's worse, is to be the one to open the door, or to be the one that the door is opened on.
Yeah, I unfortunately have walked in on someone a couple times in my family where it's like okay. We're just gonna out him here. I accidentally walked into my dad one time because he didn't lock the door, and the door has a lock. He was just good. In fact, I think it was like not fully shut, like clipped shut. I feel like it was just like mostly shut, but it wasn't all the way. So I was just like, oh, dude, like let me just go to the bathroom. And then he didn't say, hey, I'm in here. He didn't push the door shut. He's just like, oh, what are you doing? I was like,
no, why was he so casual?
He was so casual, and I was like, Dad! I was like so uncomfortable. I was like, why would you allow me to open the door all the way? You heard my footsteps. You heard me saying, yeah, Mom, I'm just going to run to the bathroom quick, and didn't do anything about it. And he's like, oh, you know, it's fine. It happens. And I'm like, oh, don't let it. There's so many safety protocols you could have done for that to not happen.
And in that case, I think your dad was really following the whole, like, it's only awkward if you make it awkward mindset.
Yeah, but here's the thing is that's we will just always awkward. Make it awkward.
Yeah,
of
course.
I didn't have, I have a story
I know
similar.
where this is going.
So,
do tell.
When I was in kindergarten, I had a huge crush on this boy.
Are you going to say his name? You're going to out him?
Should I? Okay, anyway, I had a huge crush on this boy's name. On this boy.
He loves the name.
I'm so flustered. His name was
Oh, you really out him there?
Here's the thing. He'll never ever see this.
Look him up. Let's see where
this was literally across the country. Like, totally different area. So I feel safe and secure. And honestly, we've both grown. But in kindergarten, we had a bathroom in the classroom because we're kindergartners, you know? We don't always have time to run to the other end of the school.
Especially with you, as we know.
Especially with me, I can't really hold it very long. So I was going to the bathroom, and my crush, my man, walked in on me in kindergarten, and I was so embarrassed. You'll be happy to hear that we did still continue in our little, like, relationship.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad
even after that happened. It didn't ruin us, and in fact, we grew from it.
I'm so glad that made you stronger.
Yes, but I think that's probably where my, like, deep-rooted fear started.
That's valid.
Yeah.
That's valid. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that little tidbit with us. So, last story for today. By the way, we are having so much fun with this, and we need to do it again.
This is so fun.
Such a good episode.
And also, it was definitely the right move to wait to read them.
Yeah.
Because, like, the shock is it only happens the first time.
You can never, like, recreate it.
Yes, for sure.
You want the authentic thing.
All right. This one's another decently long one, and it's titled The Pizza Delivery. Oh. I love them.
I love the titles.
They're so fun. It like really creates a little suspense.
It sets the scene for you know?
For sure. All right. A few months ago, I came down with I came down very hard with the flu. I was out sick from work for a few days while I was recovering, but the worst of it hit on a Friday and Saturday.
First of all, can I just say, the flu, that has to just be the most miserable.
Have you ever had the flu?
I've never had it, and I'm terrified to get it because nausea is just my worst.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I can't honestly remember if I've ever had the flu. If it was a long time ago. But I mean, I've been sick in other ways, but the flu is not something I ever want to encounter. Yeah. It just sounds like misery. Yeah. And I can't do throwing up.
No.
I can't do it. So, hopefully we keep our streak going.
Hopefully.
Anyway, so on this particular Saturday afternoon, I had been playing video games for a few hours when I started getting the feeling that I'd need to use the restroom relatively soon. Finishing the round of the game I was playing, I decided I'd be able to play one more round before I got up to relieve myself. This isn't giving direction of pizza delivery.
Yeah, where is this? I am excited to see how this weaves in because I'm like, where is...
I'm like trying to connect the dots and I'm like, I'm just not there yet. Throughout this round, the need to use the bathroom intensified much faster than I had anticipated, causing a great deal of panic. Finally, the round ended and I stood up to hurry to go to the bathroom to take care of business when I coughed. Hard. As I coughed, I realized just how grave of a mistake I had made in trying to play another round of my game, as I had just pooped my pants. Unfortunately, this is not the end of the story.
Oh, of course not, because we need that pizza delivery.
We need to see the tie-in here. Sprinting into the bathroom, I had no sooner sat down to finish what the cough had started.
Oh no, was it still happening at the time? Oh no.
I'd sat down to finish what the cough had started when I received a text from my mom that read, "Make sure you answer your door and accept the delivery."
Oh.
Seconds after reading this text, my phone rang.
So he didn't even know it was coming?
I guess not.
Oh.
Where was I? Seconds after I read this text, the phone rang, and on the other end was the pizza delivery man who was inside my apartment building.
Wait!
Trying to find my unit.
I was like, how in you?
This man is sketch. No, he's inside the building.
Okay.
Trying to find his unit.
Yes.
My mom, as sweet and kind as she is, had ordered pizza to get delivered for me since I couldn't go out and get groceries. And it just so happened to arrive at that moment.
That's so thoughtful.
Over the phone, I directed the man. I'm just also picturing where he is as he's directing.
And like that panic, because it's like he can't even just like quickly finish and go because like you need an outfit change.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so then he directed the
Really, it's okay.
I'm not fluently spoken.
It happens to the best of us.
I directed the delivery man to my unit in the bottom floor of the building. In my state of panic, apparently the idea of just telling him to leave the pizza at the door had slipped my mind.
No.
After all, my mother had expressly said that I was to answer the door myself. So I hobbled out to my front door, sacrificing the pajama pants I was wearing.
My pants?
No, I think he just wore the pajama pants that were. I'm confused. Regardless,
is he wearing pants or not?
He hobbled out to his front door, sacrificing the pajama pants he'd been wearing to accept the pizza. A note to clarify. Okay, I was wearing the pants when I answered the door, but nothing had been taken care of.
Oh,
so he was wearing the pants that he had just soiled. Well said. Well said. I set the pizza on the counter and hobbled back into the bathroom, where I sat for the next 20 minutes, both laughing and internally crying at what had just happened.
And can I just say, that's an appropriate response, honestly.
It's also okay to externally cry, because you're home alone, you know? What's it gonna hurt?
I know, it's like in that moment,
what a low.
Yeah, like you kind of have to laugh it off, because what else are you gonna do? But also, just like the extreme humiliation of that.
Yeah, where you just kind of like sit in it for a minute and just really, really think on what just happened.
And you kind of just like wonder
and what you could have done better.
Yeah,
you know, and leave it at the door. Thanks.
I know, and like, was there any way that the pizza guy would have known? Like,
here's the thing: you just never,
because
you just never know how bad it smells.
Yeah, because I mean, if it, yeah.
I don't know, but listen, I'm sure pizza men have encountered far worse things. Pizza men have probably seen a lot in their career. They really
have probably gone through a lot.
So I'm sure that didn't really faze them. Also, I can't imagine being a pizza man trying to find people's address, especially in apartment buildings, because I would be so lost. I can't find something to save my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm really sorry that happened to you. And I'm sure you grew from that experience.
Yeah, so better luck next time, I guess.
And it's as I always say, you live and you learn. And I'm sure you lived and learned in that moment.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that's all we have for today.
Yeah. I wish we had more because I really had a blast.
I did too.
So we'll have to do this again sometime. Yeah. And beg more people to give their stories because people have really good stories. Yeah. Here's the thing. Everybody has to have at least one good embarrassing story. Like, you've lived how many years? You're telling me you haven't done anything embarrassing? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was fun. Yeah, so hopefully we will do a part 2 at some point, but until next time, I actually don't know where I was going with that. We will see you next time.
We'll see you next time
on the pod. Have a good one.